So we've gone through toilet paper hoarding and flour hoarding and yeast hoarding, and everyone's a baker now. So what's next? Gardening. Hey everyone, I'm Flo. Dude is behind the camera, and we are all about simple food, simple faith. I don't have a green thumb. I have never had a green thumb. My mom was a professional florist, had her own flower shop for over 30 years. And I worked in the shop for many of those years, and on special occasion, really busy times, almost throughout my whole entire life. So I've been around flowers and plants forever. But she always told me to stay away from her plants because I would just kill them. So let me show you all the latest things that I have killed. They say you can't kill succulents, but dude, how does this even happen?
They're so dead.
I don't even understand. The first time I'll show you what an actual plant looks like. So the first time we had these, I had them for over 10 years and they would not die, seriously. And I thought for sure, there's no way that I can kill these things. Well, proof, dead, dead. There was another one, deader.
That may have gone in the compost.
You know, they used to grow in here. See, they're all gone. Unbelievable. See, look, there were plants in there at some point. I can't even tell you what they were. But there's more. Believe it or not, these used to be succulents as well. And somehow I've managed to kill those. But I've been watching a lot of YouTube. So apparently, I can make these propagate. I just started. I plucked these off of some new succulents that I received, and we'll see what happens. So let me show you what a live plant is supposed to look like. This is actually my daughter's, and one of the succulents that I'm trying to propagate over there came from this plant because she managed to break one of these pieces. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll turn into something more, but yeah, maybe she's like me.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And then the other one is this one. So we'll see. These are called hen and chicks. This here is my little plant hospital. So I am doing my best to try to keep them alive and hopefully nurse them back to health instead of putting them with the rest of my dead ones in the plant graveyard. So these orchids, I've heard, is really hard to get them to flower again. I'm going to enjoy these last two buds here, and then I'm going to have to cut it down. But where do you cut them? I was watching YouTube, and they say that if you cut it, or if you take a look at where the nodes are, which is these little like lines on your plant, that there's possibly something sprouting, a bud that's growing. So I noticed on this stem here that there was a bud growing. I don't know if you can see that. So I cut it just above so that it doesn't like draw any more nutrients to the stem that was growing here because the flowers were already gone. And now it can take the nutrients and hopefully grow another stem of blooms. I am super sad about my jasmine. I had two really healthy jasmine plants that were bushy and were flowering regularly, but then I got greedy and I was read that if you put jasmine in direct sunlight, you'll get more flowers. Well, I did that, and then all my leaves completely shriveled up and died, and I haven't seen any flowers for a good 9 months now, and they're barely growing. I've had to like cut them back all the way to the stems and prune them right down, and I'm just hoping that they will grow back into some bushy state. I'm so sad. So sad.
Well, Flo, just be glad that you didn't kill them into oblivion.
Well, I could just buy new plants. I have to say, living in an apartment, I never would have thought we would have this much outdoor space for a rental. And even though it's a little bit neglected, a lot neglected, I think we can still use it.
Are you sure?
I hope so. We thought about building wooden raised planters, but I just thought, you know, that's a lot of time and investment in dude who is also not so handy.
What?
You know, I was going to do it myself, but I just figured, you know what, it's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of effort to build something that, one, you know, we don't know if we're going to stay here forever, seeing as we rent. And secondly, you know, what if gardening is just not for me? Before we start talking about the vegetable garden, do you want to see the rest of my dead stuff? This was a chrysanthemum, big bushy chrysanthemum, and I had great plans for this pot that is now like dilapidated. I bought this, I don't know, years and years ago when we were living in San Francisco, never planted anything in it until we moved into this apartment. And a few years ago, I did plant it with all the herbs and things sticking out of the little, I don't know what, well, this is actually a strawberry planter. So the idea is to plant strawberry plants in them as they drape over the container, but I wanted to use it for herbs. And so one summer I actually did. I planted herbs, but that didn't really last very long. And then now I've left it outside all this time and now it's like falling apart. Yeah, we picked up these modular planters and there's 3 in a box and it comes with a couple of legs so that you can stack them however you want, but they're fairly easy to put together. That's it. My grandmother had a garden in her backyard that she grew fresh vegetables for all of us. And she had everything from like tomatoes and zucchini and snow peas and a lot of Chinese, Asian leafy vegetables that we call choy. And she also lived in a community where all the neighbors did the same. And so there was just a great sense of a community amongst these families, and they would just share their bounty with one another. And if you didn't grow a certain thing, they could share it with you and you can, you know, just grow for one another. And it was awesome. A few years ago, we traveled through France and we stayed for 3 weeks in a small hamlet called Bigorre. And the host family there used to be farmer bakers. So they would grow the wheat, mill it, and then bake it into bread and sell it. And that was their business. But they have since retired and they have turned their wheat field into a massive vegetable garden. We spent almost daily in that garden just picking different vegetables for dinner or some fruit that the kids could just eat off the trees and the bushes. And it was just so amazing to eat fresh vegetables and fruit straight from the ground. And ever since then, I've been wanting to start my own garden, but we are usually away during the summer. But this summer, we've been asked to stay put. And so it's as good a time as any to give it a try. I would love to grow many, many things, and I have this like ideal in my head, but I'm trying to refrain and just keep to these planters and to see if they'll succeed before moving forward. But I did pick up a few heirloom tomato plants, one regular tomato plant just in case, and I have some basil and cilantro. Those were the only herbs that I could find that I wanted to plant at the store, so hopefully I can get some thyme as well. As you all know, I love to use thyme. I'd also like to grow a zucchini plant, which they were out of, and I'm going to try to start lettuce from seed. I also picked up some marigold plants, and apparently they're to deter pests. But look, my black thumb has already struck, and I don't know what happened there, but it just keeled over and died. I didn't even have to try. My lavender is to encourage bees to help with pollination of my veggie plants, so hopefully that will help. This one here is a little bit droopy, which just means it needs a watering, which I'll get to very shortly because I don't want that to die on me. But I love lavender. I love the smell. And we've even had hummingbirds come and feed off the nectar. So they've been quite fun to have. And I think in all of us, there's a part of us that wants to be more sustainable. And growing vegetables is one of those ways. I think that even in the Bible, Adam and Eve were placed in the Garden of Eden to tend to it. That was their job, was to take care of the garden that God created for them. This is the time to try new things. And I know there are a ton of gardeners out there who have awesome tips. So if you could please leave me a comment with all of your gardening tips for me so that I would succeed and not fail some more, I'd greatly appreciate it. So check out my other Simple Faith videos and I'll see you over there. In the meantime, I gotta water this.